What is up, risk takers? Welcome to the Kill Pete strategy. I am Pete. I am a progressive specialist playing Risk Global Domination on PC, and I am currently ranked number 60 on the global leaderboard. This is the 7th episode of the Waiting on Your Best Behaviour podcast, and the idea for this show is I'm releasing it weekly on Wednesdays, and the idea for this show is a long-form interview podcast-style show where I get to know some of the best players in the game of Risk today and ask them questions that I am curious about. So if you are at all interested in the work I'm doing on YouTube, please, by all means, subscribe to my channel and stick around. I have a daily release schedule. Today, we have number 1 ranked player, Spike Omega. How's it going, Spike?
Good. How about you, Pete?
Oh, I'm great. I'm very happy to be here, to get the opportunity to play with you, and get to know you a little bit better. So thank you very much for coming on the show.
Thanks for the invite.
All right.
I've watched some of the other episodes with other people, and I find them interesting. So
I find them interesting too, so thank you, man. I appreciate it. So today we're going to play some 6-player progressive games for as long as you want to stick around. Let me know if you start getting tired or disinterested in what we're chatting about, and we can move on from this. But I want to keep you around for as long as I can have you, if that's all right.
Sounds good, man.
Sure. So why don't we start with a bio? Tell everyone what you'd like to tell them about yourself.
Well, so I'm a high school student. I'm 17. I live in Illinois currently, in the Midwestern United States. And I'm a high school junior, aiming to graduate high school next year and then go to college and major in actuarial science.
Sounds super interesting.
Eh.
Well, you're the one trying to do this for a living.
Yeah. And it's actually Zarep who got me interested in it because he's an actuary.
Okay.
And he brought it up to me, and I was very interested.
What part exactly? You're trying to make money, or what part of the actual work is interesting?
Well, I enjoy mathematics and statistics, as kind of demonstrated by my enjoyment of risk. So then doing the work itself, I feel would be enjoyable, and then also the money that comes along with it.
Yeah, money is nice. I have a 3-phase sort of theory of the life cycle of an actualized human. And step 1 is get your needs of life met, right? Make enough money to survive. I mean, it really depends on what you define as needs, obviously. But
yeah, for sure.
For me, I started a business when I was younger, and now I am grateful to have had enough success where I don't really think I need anything that I don't have. But so now I'm in the second phase of this story where I'm now trying to create something, quote, of artistic merit. Like that's what this project is for me a little bit. I don't know if
like try and create your legacy.
Well, I don't know. I don't use the word legacy. That's not how I'm approaching it. But this is a creative endeavor for me. And I'm getting a lot out of it, tickling that part of my mind. Making art, or whatever you want to call this. What? How do you consider your YouTube videos? Do you think of them as an art form at all?
Not really. I just view them as me trying to teach other people interested in similar things as me what I know.
Why? I'm gonna get right into this. Like, what's the motivation? Because I gotta know this about you.
Well, because throughout my life, I feel like I've always been given to. So then, whenever I have an opportunity to give to someone else, then I always take that because I want to give back.
And then, when your work is not received like you expected it to be received, how does that make you feel?
Unappreciated.
So the reason I'm getting into it this way, I'll tell everybody in brief. I came to know Spike first from posts on Facebook and Reddit, where he was starting his YouTube work, and it's this old trope of the internet. It's like, hey, I have this thing that I've made. Do you like it? And the internet goes, no, go fuck yourself. So you are a bigger man than I for taking that on the chin.
Yeah, that is
Um,
what happened.
well, it seems like pretty much what happened. Like, stop me if that was an unfair characterization, but like, why do you suppose people are treating you with less than zero respect?
So there's actually psychological studies on like superiority and happiness,
Okay.
and then those that are marked as unhappy or score lower on like happiness surveys, then they tend to seek to the feeling of superiority over others.
This is
So
this is similar to Dunning Kruger.
yeah,
Yes. Okay.
so how I look at it is like throughout my life I've struggled with like anxiety and depression, and for me like I've noticed that for me the feeling of superiority was also something that I looked for until recent months when I've kind of overcome those demons. So when people don't accept my advice or say go screw yourself as the internet trope goes, then I look at it as them trying to cope with their demon, so to speak.
Are you comfortable speaking a bit more about anxiety and depression?
Uh, yeah, what about it?
Well, so I'll start with sort of my story with that, and we can see where it goes. Because I don't really have any issues with anxiety, but I've had a long battle with depression my entire life, and it was never diagnosed, and I think I fixed it finally at 37 years old. So maybe you're ahead of the game, because it seems to me that your attitude is a lot better than mine was, certainly when I was 17, right?
I hope to think I'm ahead of the game.
Yes. So, what can you speak to that might be actionable for anyone listening who is suffering from anxiety or depression? What do you do specifically to work on that?
So for me, it derived from growing up in an abusive environment. So I would like there would be certain triggers or things that would bring back memories. So then how I coped with that is first of all I went to counseling, which definitely helped quite a bit, and then also I tried to stay away from certain triggers and things of the sort, and then also finding healthy coping mechanisms. So for me, like video games, like Risk, were a sort of coping mechanism to try and get away from my thoughts and to get into a virtual world. So
And a virtual world where you've been very well received and respected here, for the most part.
yeah,
From what I understand, in my personal experience, anxiety is a focus on the future, whereas depression is a focus on the past. So the issues I always
yeah,
had were this nonsense idea that I'm not good enough. Like, I don't deserve the good things in my life for some reason. And, like, I've never been abused. I've never had real trauma. So I was so bothered by, like, what's my excuse? You know? What on earth reason do I have to complain? Because my life has been perfect, however you want to think about it, other than those demons, right? And then a
hmm
buddy once said to me, I'll never forget this now for the rest of my life. He says, Pete, why do you hate yourself? And it was such a light bulb moment because no one had ever asked me that. And it was just so succinctly put. He's like, oh my God, he's right. Why do I? Have you ever thought about that?
yeah. And something you were saying was like you were saying like you didn't have an excuse or whatever,
Mm,
and like I look at it as there's no like there's you don't need an excuse or a reason because it happens to like everybody. It's just it hits some people harder than others.
right. Some people are
So I
more.
feel like
Go ahead.
so something that a lot of people fall into, and it sounded like you did too, was saying that you shouldn't have it, which that doesn't really help you because you're not saying, okay, I have this, how can I fix it? You're saying, I have this, how, like, I shouldn't. Just go away.
Okay.
So then, I think that's something that I also fell into, where I was like, why do I have to deal with this? Why can't it just go away? Whereas you have to put work into it to make yourself overcome that demon.
Do you find that when you say work, you're working at this game? That's one thing. I'm sure that took a decent amount of your time as a distraction.
Yeah.
Maybe not as much as it
Yeah.
might have taken somebody like me, because you seem to. I read a thread today in chat that like you became grandmaster after what, 600 games, you said?
No, I became number one after.
Okay, so that's pretty fast by anyone's measure, don't you think?
Yeah.
Can you quantify? I know you like numbers. Can you quantify what it is about you that makes you so talented at this game?
Well, I hate like bringing this up, but I feel like there's no other way to go about the question than to bring it up, and
Yeah.
it's like intelligence, like IQ.
Sure, sure. I figured.
So there's a group chat with a bunch of top 10 players that I'm in,
Mhm.
and then I remember one day a bunch of us took IQ tests, and then all of us scored really high. Like, I think Molly scored like 160 or something, Sterling scored like 140, and I scored like 144.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like that, when people ask why are you good at Risk, like that's definitely part of it because it is a strategy game.
Yeah.
So you can't be good at strategy without obviously being smart.
Well, but I've never had a high score on an IQ test, and I'm not terrible at this game.
Yeah, there's definitely way more things that go into it. Like with anything, you need to work hard at it
Yeah.
to reach your goal or your goals.
But some people are just more talented than others.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think there's anything wrong with saying that. I don't understand why that would be thought of as controversial.
Right. It's like in sports where there might be like a middle schooler that's better than a high schooler at basketball just because they're taller or something. Whereas the high schooler might put more work in, but because the younger person was born with these like desirable attributes for the activity, they're naturally better.
Yes. And that's nature. Nothing is balanced
Right.
in nature.
Right.
Like, the concept, okay, that naturally brings up a question in my mind. How do you think about fairness?
Nothing is fair.
Right. I agree. Then how do we have justice in the absence of fairness? Do you believe in justice?
Yes.
Okay, why? Do you see what you see where I'm going? Like, sorry if this is too philosophical. This is what I do, right? I'm the philosopher who asks why. So if it's, are you interested in philosophy at all, or you're more of a numbers guy?
A bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. So, what do you think about ideas of justice and fairness?
I think fairness is the idea that things are equal, whereas justice is the idea that you can do something to make it more equal.
Okay. I mean, we all want a fair game.
Yeah.
Right? We all want to start on a level playing field where we at least have the hope of victory.
Mm-hmm.
But to your earlier point, if I'm sitting down in a game against somebody like you or Sterling, I have to take that data point for what it is, right? The second I saw you guys and how you played it, I was like, okay, you got to watch, right? You got to be. It's not like everybody else.
Yeah.
So, I've asked this question now of since I thought of it, of most of my guests, and I want to know where you go with it. Are you able to identify players that you have things to learn from, and how so? If so, how so?
Uh, how so? Normally, if they beat me and I can't think of like a reason, like a like I can't be like, oh well, I didn't have a set at 4, and if I did, then I would have won.
Mm-hmm.
If there's like no like visible like obvious like I lost because of this specific thing that's out of my control. That's how I really know that I have something to learn from this person.
And how often does that occur?
I hate to sound cocky, but not that often.
The
But
community
part
is
of that is
smaller than I
also
thought it was.
what was that?
So it's not. I don't think it's arrogance, right? I'm asking you to try and be as objective as you can be. Um,
Hmm.
the community's smaller than I thought it was.
Yeah,
For something like Risk, like this is a household name. I'm like actively doing my part here to try and bring eyeballs to this subject because I think it deserves to be larger.
yeah.
Yeah, and like so are you, man. I watch what you're doing. You know, I think it's admirable. I think we're trying our best. How do we
There's only
raise this up, you know?
there's only so much you can do before you're just doing the same thing over and over.
Well, that's true. You're talking to a guy who's putting out a game a day, so yeah, that's definitely true.
Yeah,
But also, you're not really my target audience for my show, right? So I'm trying to do a bit of
right.
a variety.
Yeah.
What I hope is, this is what I sort of hope and envision, and tell me if you agree. Um, I hope that in 5 years' time, the game is, 10 times larger. That there's just more active players, there's more maps, there's a bigger community. It's just as positive as it is, at least on Discord. Can't speak to the Facebook and the Reddit crowd, but
Right.
I want to do my part to foster positivity and bring folks into this space that I love. So I'm getting so much out of.
Yeah.
Do you think that's possible?
So I remember I was talking with Lucy about content creators. It was a couple months back, but how she quantified it, I think was pretty good. She pretty much said that the big non-risk focused creators like XQC, for example, he's played Risk on his Twitch stream,
Yep.
and he's the largest Twitch streamer.
Okay.
They're the players that really bring people to Risk, whereas the smaller creators like you and Riskmaster Gabe, they're the people that keep people in Risk. So how I view it is, you may not be bringing new players to Risk, but the players that are playing Risk for the first time, then they Google like Risk strategies and then they watch your videos,
Mm-hmm.
then those players are more likely to stay because of you.
Sure. I like that. I'm happy with that role.
Because like think of it this way: if you're just scrolling YouTube and then you see a video of this random game that you've never played, what incentive do you have to click on it?
Low to none.
Right.
Yeah, well, I mean, I had the idea to start doing this work on a whim. I was meditating on my balcony, and I was not great yet. I wouldn't say. I mean, I don't know if I'm great yet at all, but you take my point, right?
Right.
The act of making these videos and watching my own thoughts and concretizing my thinking um, improved my game tremendously. Such that when I did
Yeah.
finally show up on Discord, um, I was able to win enough to be treated with what I feel like is an amazing amount of respect and appreciation for my thoughts, which I've never felt anywhere else. in my life. Most people look at me like I'm an alien.
Yeah.
Have you ever felt that?
Yeah. And then to touch on you saying like you like watching yourself help you improve, I think that's really like the only way you can improve is by reflecting on your playment, like how you played. Like there's a lot of players, I'm not going to name any obviously, but where no matter how they lose or how often they lose or whatever, it's always, oh, I got a bad dice roll or I didn't get the cards that I needed. Whereas really it's if they did something differently, then they wouldn't have needed that dice roll or those cards or whatever. So really how I go about getting better and improving is what could I have done differently to improve my chances? Not necessarily always being like, if I had this dice roll, I would have won. Because in so many games, sure, you would have won with that dice roll, but you put yourself in a situation where you needed that dice roll to win.
I mean, this is a bigger attitude problem than it might seem at first blush, right? Like when I asked you on your AMA, the question I asked you about what is the single most important thing, you remember?
Mm-hmm.
And you said mindset.
Right.
I think what you're touching on is an attitude problem that players have.
I think attitude and mindset are pretty similar.
Yeah.
So.
That's where I'm going with this. I think people are blaming anything and everything other than themselves to try and explain why they lose, rather than looking at their game critically and dispassionately and saying, what could I have done in this situation to increase my not to win, but to increase my likelihood of victory?
Right.
Yeah. I don't know. I really don't. Like, what do you do with any of that? Do you tell people, like, how do we communicate to these people who seem hell-bent on staying losers?
Let them stay losers.
Okay, you don't care. Let the loss be lost?
If they don't want help, then why waste your time trying to give them help?
Yes. So this was something that came up when I was chatting with Buck, and I asked him sort of, we got onto this subject. And he's like, but if I help one person, then it's worth my time. I'm not so sure I agree. Because it seems like you learned a valuable lesson. And the lesson isn't don't try. The lesson is be more selective about who you invest your time in.
Right.
Because someone told me point blank in a Reddit thread about your and full disclosure, Spike moderates Reddit, so I assume you read this. He told me point blank, I'm not here for advice. I'm here to complain. And I had honestly not even considered that attitude because it's so foreign to me. It's like, oh, you're just here to bitch? Really? That's such a...
Right.
Like, fine, okay, you can. Right? You're free to do that, but, like... then the last thing I'm going to do is waste my time talking to you.
Exactly. It reminds me of the old saying, like, you're the combination of, like, the 5 people you spend the most time with or something.
Sure.
And if you always talk to negative people and always spend your time talking to them, then you're going to turn into that yourself.
Right. Oh, White's messing around.
Surprised he thought he could kill you there.
I don't think he did. I think he's just pissed off that I took him out of his corner.
Maybe.
Feeling pretty good about my game right now.
I was hoping to be able to kill yellow, but that 8 on the right didn't make it easy. So decided not to go for it.
Oh, Olive is going for
Well,
it.
Gonna be. Oh yeah.
Yeah, you got it. All right, that's game, I think. I die next?
I don't think so. If he can kill you.
Yeah. If he
Yeah,
can,
he can kill you.
if he can kill me. I had a Joker, too. Should have traded.
He has to kill me right after he kills you, though, which I think he'll be able to.
Uh-oh. Got a lot of splits, too. That 3 in Sardinia is going to screw him up.
Hopefully.
Come on, Olive. Screw this up somehow. Now he's got it easy. That's awesome. Well done, sir. Yeah, like it took me a couple of times from interacting with you before I realized that your confidence, I don't think, is arrogance. Right? I think your confidence is quite measured. You are indeed as good as you think you are. You know what I mean?
I like to think so.
Yeah.
And I try my best not to let it turn into arrogance.
Sure. How so? Because I have issues with ego myself. So what specifically? Like, do you remind yourself to stay humble? Or?
Yeah, pretty much.
Not so easy, eh?
Sometimes.
Sure.
Depends on who you're talking to.
Well, yeah, I imagine being connected with some, like you were saying, some other very brilliant people. That's a cool average to be a part of.
Yeah.
That's something that really appeals to me also about finding this Discord space and doing this work that I'm doing now, because like I'm so grateful to have the opportunity to chat with you about this. Like, these are questions that I've been wondering my entire life. Is there has to be a place where I'm not a fucking alien. There has to be. I think Olive just sweeps now, eh? Wow. Good job, Olive.
I didn't even have a set on 4 in case you didn't have a set.
Very impressive.
But with ego, something that starts to get on my nerves is when like players are like, I'm a grandmaster, so I'm better than you. And it's like, sure, you're better at Risk than someone else because you're a grandmaster, but you're not better because you're a grandmaster. So I think it's important to realize that just because you're better at something than someone else doesn't mean you're better than them. Which I think is something that a lot of people equate to each other, is like, I'm better at you than Risk, so I'm a better person than you.
Well, yeah, we all have a deck of cards that we were dealt. We all have strengths and weaknesses.
Right.
Except for me. I'm a totally perfect person in every way. I'm even the most humble guy you've met.
For sure.
Spike, your humor is very dry. I said this to you, but people have to get used to it, I guess.
Yeah, I've noticed that sometimes I have to clarify when I'm joking.
Well, that's unfortunate. But if they don't get it, I guess they're just missing out.
Exactly. That's the same thing with, like, if they don't want advice, then they're missing out.
If you don't get my jokes, you don't deserve them.
Exactly.
Sure. I don't know. I think part of what people find resonant about me, and I'm open to all criticism, so bear that in mind. But I think people part of what people find resonant about the weird combination that I am is I laugh at my own jokes. I'm here to amuse myself first. I'm a bit selfish. I'm having fun for me. And like if you're into that and you vibe with that, cool, right? Then we could be friends. But I don't need it. I'm fine. I didn't do this. I'm not doing this for any reason other than the ones I've stated. It's only afterwards that it becomes like, wow, people like this. I guess I should keep going every other day, man. It's like, wow, great job, keep going, and that's pretty motivating. It's hard for me not to, if that's the feedback.
Yeah, that's really how I started overcome my depression and anxiety and stuff, is focusing on what makes me happy rather than what others think about me. Because when you don't care about what others think, then like why? And you just do what you love, then it's I don't know.
Well, I mean, I'm listening, man. I think you're onto something really good with that because it's authentic. How do you define the word integrity?
Well, the cliche one that comes to mind is doing the right thing when nobody's watching.
Okay. So that's half of what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
So the other half of integrity, which I think isn't talked about as much, is the state of being integrated, whole.
Yeah.
So when we are fucked up emotionally, we fight ourselves internally. We're at war with ourselves. And that battle for me was lifelong until very recently. Until I figured, hopefully forever, until I figured it out. That, well, just what you were saying, that I am unapologetically me. I'm going to give whatever gifts I might have to the world and fuck them if they don't like it. Mm-hmm. Does that sound arrogant, though?
I don't think it sounds arrogant.
Okay.
I think it just sounds like someone who has their priorities in the right.
I hope, man. Because life's too short to spend it with your head up your ass.
Yeah. How are you going to improve yourself if you're too busy focusing on what others?
What do you think of when you think about self-improvement? Like, do you have goals?
What self-improvement, I think, is just doing whatever makes you feel more comfortable in your own skin.
Do you have a exercise routine?
No, I don't exercise.
I decided to take that more seriously as I've gotten older.
Mm-hmm.
And it's had tremendously positive effects on my mood, go figure.
Yeah.
And that seemed non-obvious to me. But giving a shit, like respecting myself, kind of bleeds into all other areas. I'm also totally not interested in impressing anyone, which I used to be.
Yeah.
Like I'm now thinking back to where I would have been at your stage in life, and like I remember I was very interested in making sure everybody knew what I thought. Because I was right, you know?
Yeah.
As if I knew shit. And then at some point, I got a bit better at listening. I hope.
Yeah.
It's a tough skill. Listening.
lot of skills are tough.
What's tough for you?
But figuring out who I am. Like, this ties back into the depression, as I mentioned earlier, but what makes me happy?
You don't know.
Right.
Oh, okay. Are you confident that you will know?
No.
So, just by virtue of asking the question, I can tell you, you'll know. You'll find it. Because you care to ask. Like, I'm certain of it, you'll find it.
It's tough to find something that you've been searching for your whole life.
Yeah, well, just imagine how much longer your life is going to be.
Hopefully quite a bit longer.
There you go. Simply put, my point is that people don't ask, who am I? But you are.
Yeah.
It's a good question to ask, man. How would you answer it today?
I would say I don't know.
Takes a big person to admit that they don't know. Do you think about the related question, what do I want? You know, who am I, what do I want? Seems like another sort of two sides of the same coin sort of thing.
Yeah, I definitely think about what I want, and I say for the most part I've figured that out, but I'm sure that's going to change drastically in the next couple of years.
And I would suggest that you probably want it to change drastically. You don't want to stay the same.
Exactly.
Yeah. Do you get bored easily?
Yep. Very easily.
Yeah, okay. So, like, you reach the top of this game. And then what? Like, what keeps you motivated?
The people.
Because the game of Risk must actually be quite boring to you at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can see that.
With a lot of games that I play or have played, what really kept me playing them was the community around them. And then once that community went away, then so did I. Because I wasn't staying for the game.
Because you'd already kind of mastered the game in your head, right?
Yeah.
Okay. What is your history with gaming? What else have you been really into?
So, my biggest one, other than Risk, was actually Clash Royale. And what kept me playing that game for like 3 years was the people and the friends that I made in it. But then a lot of the friends started quitting the game and moving on to better things. And then there was no reason for me to stay around anymore. So I don't really play that anymore.
Was it like just life happened sort of thing, or like what were the reasons people left?
Getting bored of the game, as well as like you can stay ingrained with people without playing the same game with them.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of what happened was like I still talk to some of the people, but we just don't play the game together.
Did you get any of them into Risk?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. He actually recently joined the Discord server, which was nice.
That's amazing, man. Like, I can't speak highly enough of this Discord space. Like, I first found it because of the post Sterling made about the Q1 tournament. And I really
Yeah.
I found the interface difficult for me to get into. Probably
Right.
going back to how I was saying to you that I'm not very smart. So I had trouble figuring out how to use this fucking program, and eventually now I'm, I would say reasonably competent, but this is the one place on the internet I think I found where I can confidently say that the best people are in charge.
Yeah.
It's no small accomplishment, man. Like, you
It's
help out.
definitely a good space, and really enjoy the people that
Yeah.
I've met.
I feel.
Yourself included.
Oh, thank you. Thanks, man. Yeah, it's a relief for me. Like, the idea that I would never belong anywhere was something that I actually believed. I had convinced myself was true. But I actually feel like I have a lot of common ground with the people that are really into this game. Maybe some of that is addiction, but we'll take
Yeah,
it.
something that I've struggled with my whole life, and I still do, is making and keeping friends.
Why?
I think it's partially because of my demons, and how am I supposed to keep a relationship with someone else when, like, how am I supposed to get to know someone else when I'm still trying to get to know myself?
Sure. So you find yourself pushing people away?
Yeah.
That wasn't my experience of you at all. Because, like, look at what we're doing right now. This is not the actions of someone who's trying to push someone away, right? You're opening up to an entire audience now. People are going to get to know you, I imagine, very well from this.
And that's me improving.
Yes.
Like, when I don't want to do something, how I look at it is, will it help me?
Did you not want to? Did you not want to do this?
In a ways, yeah.
Okay. Because it's safer to just
Yeah. Because I'm making myself vulnerable, and with vulnerability comes the possibility of getting.
Yeah, it's true. But everything that we enjoy in the world really has to do with connecting with other people.
Right.
Things don't mean anything to you, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Or even accomplishments don't mean, like, I remember when I started playing and I looked at, what?
He's mad that I broke.
I know he is. That's funny. I remember, like, when I started, I looked at the leaderboard and I wouldn't have guessed that it was even possible for me to be in, like, the top 100 or whatever. You know? And then a year later, it was like, oh, this space isn't as deep and as large as I thought it was.
Things can look bigger and scarier at first, but once you get to know them, and then they're not so big and scary.
Yes. It's true. How have you come to be so wise, Spike?
So a lot of people seem to think that wisdom comes from age, but I think it comes with something correlated with age, and that's
Experience.
So, once again, not trying to sound prideful or anything, but I experienced a lot of things,
Sure.
and that's where I think my wisdom has come from.
Is there anything specific that you're comfortable sharing as far as experiences that were maybe level up moments for wisdom or for your life?
Uh, so throughout my life, I met my dad once. So when I was younger, then it was just me and my mom. And then just recently, the past couple of years, I haven't been living with her. And that's really, like, all that, as well as some other stuff that I'm not comfortable with sharing, but all that combined, it's a lot of stuff for 17-year-old.
Yes. Do you have time to process all that?
No. And that's, I think, part of the reason why I still don't really know who I am, is because when am I supposed to figure it out when I have to go to school, go to work? Like, when I'm busy.
So
there's no time to figure out who I am.
This would sound like more time cost, maybe with less payoff, but I'll ask you, have you ever considered meditation?
Yeah, and I did it once.
Not for you?
Yeah. Then again, I only did it once, so I guess I didn't really give it a fair shot.
Well, you're talking about connecting with yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, that's what it is for me. Is I'm experiencing the nonsense that is my own mind. And reflecting on that. Because I don't think... I think our culture encourages us to identify with our mind.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm curious, what do you believe? Like, do you think you are your mind?
I think I'm a mush of chemicals and DNA and stuff.
Okay, so you may not know who you are, but you know what you are.
Yeah.
Okay, you're a mush of chemicals and DNA.
Yeah.
Are you the mind? Is that who I'm connecting with right now?
It's a deep question.
I know, that's what I like to do, my friend. I'll cut to the chase. Where I'm going with this is, from what I understand, our mind is a problem-solving machine.
Mm-hmm.
And in the absence of problems to solve, as you could probably attest with anxiety, your mind will create them.
Right.
Right. So, we are not our minds. We are encouraged by our culture to identify with our minds because that makes us these nice little production and consumption engines, and we are obedient, and we behave predictably. And that's what systems that want to control us would like us to do. Yes?
Yep.
But what you actually are is you are a thing that pays attention. You are the focus. And your focus is actually quite narrow. You can only really pay attention to one or two things at once. This is why neither of us are doing as well as we should be in this game of Risk, because we're having an interesting conversation. Right?
Right.
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 So, you use your mind like a tool, but we are not encouraged to ever find the off switch, are we?
Correct.
And maybe we don't need to solve problems 100% of our lives.
Yeah.
Right. Maybe the trick to some of this is learning how to just exist and be present and enjoy your life. You feel me?
Yeah.
There you go. Give it a shot. I don't know. things that have worked for me, right, may not work for you. Let's see. So now, after we've gotten into the things that, I think set you apart, what advice would you give to the community now?
Be more welcoming. Because there's a lot of people that don't welcome others' ideas or other people challenging their beliefs, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And it goes into being prideful. I think there's too many people in the risk community that are too prideful.
They don't want to be wrong.
Right.
Can you tell that I love being wrong?
I don't know.
You don't believe me?
I don't know, Pete.
I'm wrong all the time, man, and it's the best thing in the world because then I grow.
Yeah.
I've been wrong so much in my life, dude. I've made so many mistakes all the time. I've learned so many lessons the hard way, It's the best. Because now you know that lesson forever. It's real.
Don't you think you're being prideful in bringing that up, though?
Yes. I am proud of how hard I have worked and the things that I have accomplished. Absolutely. It's impossible to avoid. Right? I think that's why they say pride is the root of all other sin, We're not perfect. We're humans. It's okay to be flawed.
Right.
Oh no, I'm going to die. Ah, rats. Yeah, there's like a nonsense quest for purity going around. Everyone trying to play like they're perfect. No, he laughs at me before he kills me. That's so good. That's so good. Oh my god. Well done, sir. Gotta make some good television here.
I think it's very true when you say that we're all imperfect.
Yeah.
Just because we're imperfect doesn't mean we can't. By recognizing that, I feel like some people say, I'm imperfect, that means I don't need to improve.
Oh.
Whereas, what's the point of recognizing that you're not perfect if you're not going to try and make yourself better?
Well, I guess where I go with that is I think the quest for self-improvement, the quest for perfection, is an aspirational goal, right? It's something to seek as opposed to, it's about the journey, not the destination. You never actually want to reach there because there's no there, right? The quest for purity ends in horrific stories in the history of the world.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got this? I sure hope you have a match on 4 now.
I do, but I think Black's. I think. Okay, he's gonna kill Blue. Yeah, I think he wins. Well, maybe not. I'll definitely be able to kill Orange. If he can't trade him 30. I think he'll go for it. Oh, he's going for me.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. If I were him, I definitely would have gone for orange there. But I guess I'm biased. He killed me.
Yes, you are.
And not not sure why he didn't kill orange here.
Well, unless Papa Duck can do it. Get those 5 cards.
He'll need a trade to do it. Are there any other topics you wanna touch
Yeah, I would. I'm the game I'm hosting just ended, so I have to report the results here.
on? That's good.
Yes, it is. There we go. And then we can get right on to what I was wondering. Okay. Sorry about that.
No problem.
What else are you interested in hobby-wise at the moment, other than the game? Like, you play any other games right now?
Not really.
Okay.
I don't have time.
Sure. Do you have anything lined up for your next goal?
Do you mean like in life or in risk?
Either.
My next goal is graduate high school.
seems like probably not so hard for you.
Yeah.
Do you like high school?
I like learning.
Okay.
I like high school.
I mean, it was a terrible environment for me to learn. I hated it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've learned a lot more in my life from just being curious about the things I'm curious about. What is this game?
He's gonna try and kill yellow.
Is he though?
He might be able to.
Sure.
No, he can't.
No, I went the wrong way. What are you doing? Yeah. What is this? That was funny, man. I had fun. Like, the first time I played you where, like, I knew I played you was on Drew's stream, eh?
Maybe.
I had fun with that.
I don't remember.
No, you don't remember? Well, obviously, it's probably a lot less significant for you than it is for me. I'm sure you get challenged to play all the time.
Yeah.
But I really like what Drew's doing. He's been such a impactful force to come into the community too now.
Yeah, it's always awesome to see new content creators. And he's been working hard.
No kidding.
Good to see.
Yeah. I guess I should have Drew on the show too.
That would be a good.
Yeah, I think so. He's got a ton of personality. All right, now we're winding it down.
Is he gonna attack every territory except?
I think he's just trying to get more out of his clock.
Yeah. no matter what, though, you only get 30 seconds back, so you
Right.
spent more than 30 seconds, so he should kill Yon. Well, he did it now.
So, before we end, is there anything you'd like to promote or draw people's attention to?
The Risk Discord server. So, discord.gg/risk.
I'll link.
I know you've said many great things about it in your videos, but it's really what keeps me around playing Risk today.
If not for the people, you would have found something else that tickles your brain?
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe that. I'm so interested to learn your story, right? To see where you go. Like, keep in touch with me, please, because you seem like a very interesting person, and I'm so excited to like. I tend to keep my friends for a long time, so I'm so excited to see where you go and what happens.
Thank
You
you.
know? Yeah, man, it's awesome. I feel like this is a good place to end on, though. Unless
Yeah.
there's anything else you want to say or bring up.
Just focus on improving.
I agree. Well, that's awesome, man. Okay. Thank you very much, Spike. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on.
Okay, great. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope that all of you keep improving. So, until next time, for all of you on the path to world domination, good games and good luck.